and lines.
All right, we are live. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 1st, 2026 Litchfield School Board meeting. The time is now 5:30. We will call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, happy April, everyone. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda? All right, hearing and seeing none. Anything off consent this evening that the board would like to discuss? Okay, hearing and seeing none. We have summary of non-public actions from March 18th, 2026. Mr. Shoemaker moved to approve the February 4th public meeting minutes. Mr. Plansky seconded that motion. That carried 3-0-2. Mr. Cutter and Mr. Peoples abstained. Mr. Plansky moved to approve the February 18th public meeting minutes. Mr. Cutter seconded that motion. That carried 3-0-2. Mr. Shoemaker and Mr. Peoples abstained. Mr. Shoemaker moved to approve the March 4th public meeting minutes. Mr. Plansky seconded that motion. That carried 3-0-2. Mr. DeWitt and Mr. Peoples abstained. Mr. Shoemaker moved to approve the resignation of Renee Fucci as an LMS special education teacher. Mr. Plansky seconded that motion. That carried 5-0. And then the board discussed a staff update as well. Tonight we have some presentations and recognitions, and we have Campbell High School represented this evening. I'd like to invite Principal Mitchison and Athletic Director Tony Ramos up to the table. Good evening.
I'm assuming, Tony, you're doing the art update, right?
Yes, of course.
You got it?
Yeah, what do you
All
want
right.
to say?
It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
the name tag was there, so I was gonna leave it for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Perfect. Couple of dogs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think what Tony handed out is actually the second thing they're gonna talk about, just. in
Okay,
Jen.
so I can lead with
What's that?
the lights.
No, no,
first?
no.
Oh.
Jen's gonna do the
Oh.
holiday first.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we have a few things. So we have been trying to work on making good use of the STEM hallway and all the space that we have at Campbell in the old shop classroom. It's a massive space. If you've never seen it, please stop by and go take a look. There's some really cool stuff in there. And right now it is a maker space of sorts. So the robotics co-curricular program, they use the space to build their robotics, to test out some of their equipment. The theater department uses the space when they're building their set. The art department wants to use the space more and move their pottery wheels into the space. We also have 2 kilns that are ready for installation. I'm waiting on some quotes for that. But that they would actually have a really nice home in that space. And because of the ventilation that was already included in the space when it was built, the kilns specifically wouldn't need any additional ventilation. We could hook it right into the system we already have. It wouldn't need its own room. So it really is a great space. So part of that, we have discovered, I had each group that uses the space go in and label, organize, and start to itemize their stuff. Because robotics kind of had stuff everywhere, and theater people had stuff everywhere, and it was a little messy. So it's gotten a lot better. And now we're at a point where we have some items that are not claimed and no one really wants them, and or there really isn't a use or need for them in our building anymore, and they're taking up a lot of space from that whole wing. And per policy, I have to come to you all to ask how you would like us to proceed getting rid of some of the items And specifically, I can talk about, there is an old screen printing t-shirt machine that I think we think it's about 15, 20 years it's been there. I think it's been there a very long time. No one uses it. The teachers who know it's there don't use it. It hasn't been used, my understanding, for a long time. The second piece of equipment we have is a cardboard box baler compactor recycling thing, for lack of a better term. And I believe the town used to recycle. And so when the school was initially built, they wanted to make sure that they could also recycle. And I don't know if you've been in schools, but no one gets more boxes than we do. So, and now we recycle, I think, through our own kind of system that Mr. Gingris's club, we have a recycling club, but correct me if I'm wrong, does the town recycle across the board anymore?
Yes.
They do, okay.
They still
Cardboard
have
is
a
the only thing
cardboard
they
baler.
make money on. Oops, sorry.
So they don't do the cardboard,
No, they do
They
the
do.
cardboard.
Okay.
It's the money crop.
okay.
In
So,
fact, I just dropped off a bunch of cardboard there today.
okay, so, anyway, we have this cardboard compactor, and then we also have a lathe that's older. And so with those items in particular, we can either, dismantle and get rid of, we can donate, or we can try to sell. So I think those are the options per the policy. I'm happy to explore any and all options. I've been working with Dave Ross. He found the cardboard compactor on eBay that someone had listed for $1,950. So again, we can try selling these items. There was nothing he could find for sale for the screening, the t-shirt maker. Again, we can also try to donate them. The lathe, a brand new lathe, goes for around $3,200. So I don't know what we could get for the one we have. And again, I think our options are to donate, sell, or dismantle and discard, whether that means by means of dump or trash. So those are the three items specifically because of the cost or their value associated that I specifically needed to ask what
I
we
think
should
for the
do with.
cardboard piece of equipment, we should run that by the town and see if there's a need within the town for
Yeah.
that piece of equipment, right?
Yep.
Which we can do.
Okay.
For the other two pieces of equipment, what does the board think?
I don't know. Do you have pictures of the items?
I have, these are what we found online. So I mean, you can kind of get a feel, like the lathe, it's very similar to what this one looks like, but you can certainly come see them.
Is it a metal lathe, a wood lathe?
It's what did he look up? Turning lathe, I believe it is,
It's gotta be for wood. It was. For
I think it's metal or combined. I think it can do either. It's old. It's like that 1960s green color.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we ever came about it. If it was like something the shop teacher found.
I wonder if something the CT program over at Elvern could use.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, another good idea, yeah.
And I'm happy to work with our facilities crew, and Dave Ross to see, if there might be any interest. And I can take pictures of our actual items, but they're very similar to, if you just Google, like, if you look online, they're essentially like the same.
I mean, look, if we don't have a need for them, right, I think it's prudent of us to try and at least recover some costs if we can. I do think that's in our best interest, and if we can't, we can't, right? But I do like the idea if there is, for the CTE, like that's a great idea. If there's a purpose for the town, for the cardboard, that's a fantastic idea, right? So if there's a need within the town or within the other education programs that our students go to, fantastic.
Okay.
With respect to the cardboard, how are we getting rid of cardboard now? I know there's
So,
a recycling club, but
We
like,
have a recycling club, and so between the custodians and our recycling club, if we have cardboard, and it just gets put into the recycling
Single
bin.
stream recycling, our bin.
Yep.
So we can just put everything in there as
Yep,
is.
we don't have to compact it.
See, we bail it at the town and sell it.
What's that?
We sell it at the town.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I think then our next step is I will figure out, I'm not sure, I don't know how much luck we'll have on the selling the t-shirt machine.
Yeah.
But you never
I don't know
know.
about that one.
So, but I do think I can work with Julie and Brian and Dave Ross, cause he's been a huge help with getting some like, ideas, and he's kind of willing to reach out to his groups
If you
too.
can send pictures of the cardboard machine, even to myself, right, we can connect with the town and Dave Mellon over at the recycling center and just see if there's a need. Maybe he can swing by and check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So I'm hoping, and I can give you an update maybe closer to June, because I'm hoping to have at least the plan for what we're gonna do with these resolved before summer. So then moving the t-shirt machine out of the way, for example, is going to give the robotics people an entire wall of space in their classroom space where they may be able to then move their shelving, which is then in the way for, putting the pottery wheels into the space that they want to be in. So it's like a waterfall effect of
Okay. Well, let's figure
finding,
this out.
finding new homes. Okay, awesome.
I do need a quick vote by policy that you're okay with us moving forward with this. Like the disposal
With
of
the
these things.
disposal of the 3 pieces of equipment?
Yeah, by fall, and the policy says to go through charitable organizations in schools first, local community, and so on and so forth, and to sell if we can, but if not.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to dispose of the 3 pieces of equipment by the means discussed. If there is recoverable cost, we should look to do so. If there is benefit to either the town or our neighboring schools for CTE programs, fantastic. And I appreciate you bringing this up.
Second. Discussion.
Maybe on the t-shirt machine, we might have a student in town that's interested in acquiring it, or a past student that's doing that. I know there's a couple kids that were manufacturing t-shirts here, so there may be something they'd be interested in.
Perhaps, I know that unit is quite old
And huge,
and big.
but
In my defense of old things aren't necessarily bad.
I just don't,
I agree, Ray.
I would question the wiring on this first, right, and making sure that it's up to standard, so. All right, motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker, additional discussion. Does that, motion make sense? Is that-
Yeah, it does. I mean, essentially, policy's D in there. You can read
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It outlines this, that there's a sequencing that we go through when first it's more than $1,000 values, which usually these things are. And then, you exactly what we said, you go to schools first, you go to local organizations, you go to your local citizens, and you try to sell it. And then if you can't, it's okay, but you make that your first attempt.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, 5-0.
all right, thank you for that. Okay, up next.
Perfect. Do I start with lights or this?
Start with this.
Start with that.
Next up
Okay.
is Jim Floor.
Perfect. Yeah, so in front of you, I have a proposal to renovate the gym floor at Campbell High School. It would be redoing the basketball lines, the logos, the volleyball court, everything that's currently laid down. That would happen this summer, potentially. The proposal is to not pay for it with budget funds. It would be to get some corporate/local sponsorships to pay for the floor. This document, the sponsorship document, has the tiers we would be looking to do. So we're hoping to secure one big sponsor that would get a center court logo. So there would be logos on the gym floor, which is really what the discussion tonight is about. And then there was some on the sidelines as well. And that would cover the entire cost of redoing the floor.
What is the cost of the floor?
$33,000 was what
Is
we were
that
quoted at.
finishing the entire surface?
Yep, so they would take it, they would sand it down, redo all the lines, the logo, the sideline, and then resurface it.
So we bring this to you, this proposal in general, because it's a big proposal. Also by policy, and it's linked in our
Yeah.
agenda, KHB, I'll bring your attention to bullet 10, which is where this would kind of fall under. So normally we don't do advertising, or in general, we don't do advertising in school, but there are exceptions, they're listed in the policy. And so the board can make the decision to allow advertising on school property as long as it's directed to the general public. So this being the gym is a general public space. Obviously, we use it as an educational space during the day for PE classes and whatnot, but we also use it outside the day. You notice scoreboards, for example. I don't know if this scoreboard here, I can't picture it in my head, but
Yeah, it does.
usually they
Powerade.
have Coke,
Yep.
Cola, or Pepsi, or some sort of branding on it as well. So because it's a common area, you can do this in these spaces. If you think about during the football season, we have advertising on the fence around the stadium, you know, those type of things. So, just so you know where this is coming from, why it's here this evening. One of the reasons it's here this evening.
Is this on the already scheduled,
This is,
budgeted for, or is this?
So we do
Ahead of
it,
the
so
budget.
They-
we have budgeted, oh, sorry.
no, you're good. They
Yeah, what we have
resurface
budgeted
it
for
yearly.
Is just the yearly like redoing of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, we're gonna need to redo that floor, so Tony came to us probably, a month or two ago with an idea of, that's a huge, heavy ask, right, to kind of redo the floor. Is there some sort of fundraising or some sort of other way we can get the funds for it? So we pursued this sponsorship. I don't know if it's something you've done previously, is this where you got the idea?
No, I mean, I don't know of any schools who have done it, so it's a pretty unique idea. But I'm trying to explore all options without having to just put it on the taxpayers, essentially.
So I love creative ways of paying for things. I guess my only concern would be 20 years is a long time, right? So
Yeah.
like, let's just say you got a bank, for example, right? Like
Yep.
a lot of banks change names within 20 years. So we could end up with like something that's like incredibly outdated that's stuck on the floor for,
So they can, I mean, it's just a sticker, essentially.
Okay.
So it could be easily, when they come in, they would still come in yearly to redo the surface. So when they came, it's the same company. So when they came to do that, we could update logos, or we had talked about, if there ever was an issue that arose with a sponsor, we could remove a logo, and replace it with something else. So they come off pretty easily.
okay. So it's not, you don't have to sand down the entire floor to
Nope.
do that, you don't think?
Nope.
Okay.
So they just lay a sticker down and then they finish over it.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I don't know. What are the other board members' thoughts? I love the creative thinking, and I
Yep.
love the out-of-the-box ideas, I do, to your point.
That's why we brought it here to discuss.
And for you to think
I mean,
on
it's
it.
very, we're talking about a high school gym, we're
Yeah.
not talking about a collegiate gym,
Yep.
right? I mean, it's very unique to Campbell, it's very unique to Litchfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have a target premium sponsor that you're looking to go to?
Well, I think the goal would be to think local, right? And I think there are some local companies, I don't wanna name any, but Tony and I have brainstormed, a list of companies who we thought would definitely, most likely, or probably, or we hope, be interested in helping us out. Understanding like the business world a little bit, I know that companies look to donate to schools, and this is an opportunity for a donation, but also while, bringing awareness to their company. So I think our target would be locally in the area, whether local to Litchfield, or some of the surrounding towns, Londonderry, Derry, even Bedford, that area, Manchester. I think anyone who lives in Litchfield travels to some of those places to go to businesses and such, so.
So you'd be contracting with this advertising company who would be facilitating this?
Yep.
Are they able to like give us like a mock-up of like what, just with like fake logos or whatever?
Yep,
just
absolutely,
So we kind
yeah.
of see like where,
Yep. I could
to
get
get a
that for
feel
sure.
for what it would actually even look like?
Yeah.
I'd also like to see if there's other schools around public high schools that are doing something like this.
Yeah, and I'd like the community, this is obviously now discussion and out there in the public, right? So I'd like the community to weigh in between now and our next meeting, if there's any public thoughts,
Yep.
please feel free to let them know.
Definitely. Yeah, again, just thinking outside the box, and looking through the policies. When Tony brought the idea to me, I was like, well, let's try and see,
I think
see
it's
what
a-
people
it's-
think.
It's a creative idea. I certainly appreciate it.
I think it's a great idea. I resonate with the concerns, but I think going after the local companies, I think it has to start local and then it
Absolutely.
radiates out radially. some of the ones that I can think of off the top of my head without naming names are companies that already sponsor some of the booster clubs are
Yep.
within the schools already,
Yep.
and go from there.
And you said, we don't know of anybody who's doing this in the area now?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I could definitely send an email out to all the ADs
yeah.
and just find out if anyone's done anything like this. But no, typically it would be like they would use it to buy a new scoreboard. So the company would pay for the scoreboard and then throw their logo on it. But even that's not as common now as it was.
Yeah, we used to
20
get a new
years ago.
scoreboard for Little League every few years from Coca-Cola distributor or
Yep.
Yeah.
sold their product. And
Yeah, we wanted to bring this just to you forward so you can think about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like, again, I think we're looking at creative ways across the district to look at things from a fiscal standpoint, you know, and look at different opportunities that kind of arise. I thought this was a really good idea. There's flexibility in policy to consider these type of ideas, and there is not this exact, like, this is more permanent, right? But we do have that idea around the football main field there. What do we call that field? Premier
football field?
Football field?
Stadium field.
Stadium
Yeah.
field, whatever its name is. It needs a name. There's
Yeah.
and we do that comes down obviously at the end of the fall season, but we do advertising already around athletic events, so.
Okay, thank you for bringing this to the board. We'll give it some thought and have a
Perfect.
decision at our next meeting.
Thank you very much.
good idea.
And then one more kind of update. So the boosters approached Tony maybe a month or so ago.
Yeah,
a while
yeah.
ago. And they really would like to rent lights for the upcoming football season. And we wanted to come to this group to kind of just hopefully maybe get I don't know if it's necessarily a voting thing,
You don't have to vote on it, but
but
I think
we,
it's good informational for the board
and here, you know, I think
to hear their thoughts on it.
personally, I love a Friday night football game. There's something about like the lights, the community piece. I think a lot of people, I think about like opportunities for community to get together. And I think having been to now a few Saturday games and even over the past few years, there's not as many people ever as there are at those Friday night football games. It's like a community thing. And I saw that at our homecoming game, which was great. And I think this would be a way for us to, and if the boosters again are going to be funding this opportunity, so they're not.
Well, sorry, to jump in. It would be split between, so the Booster Club is donating some, and then some comes out of football fundraising, soccer fundraising, and then athletic fundraising, which is how we've done it in the past. So for this homecoming game this year, that was split between football, soccer, and the athletic fundraising account because all those three teams utilize the lights for that week.
But not tax-paying fund. So we're not
Yes,
using,
no taxpayer
we're
money,
not asking to use taxpayer money to fund the lights. It's something that I think the kids want, the teams want, the boosters have recognized. And again, I just think about opportunities that we can get people to the school as like the hub of the community, the events. And I think the Friday night lights is just, it's a thing, right? And the Saturday sunny isn't the same as a Friday night light. It just isn't. It's not. Even from a principal perspective or a teacher perspective, and certainly the student perspective, like just a way to end the week, like the community feel. I think people bring. I would anticipate all age students would come. Even the elementary kids would want to start coming, and the parents, and just another way to kind of bring the community together. So.
That would be a great place to, advertise a big project or something like that.
Could be.
Anything like that's on the horizon,
Could have information tables.
So it would be just for specific weeks, or would it be for the whole season?
So this year, our upcoming football season, luckily, we have 4 home games in 5 weeks. So it kind of worked out that we would just rent the lights for 6 weeks, essentially. It might get a little more complicated if we have, 2 home games in September and then we don't have another 2 until the end of October. But we do have flexibility with that as well, where I could request, like, can you kind of lump our home games together for those? So it'd be mostly for football, but we could also, homecoming week, obviously soccer's would get an under the lights game. And then it does give us also some schedule flexibility where if we need to play 2 soccer games in the same night, we would have the lights and we'd be able to do like a 6 o'clock start instead of moving the game.
So I'm a fan of the lights idea, but when the field was built, they told the neighbors there would not be lights. And I think for years, we've always told it. I live on Talon Road, I live on the other end. I can hear the football game from my backyard. I would be absolutely supportive of the lights. I just wonder if we shouldn't talk to the abutters, see how they feel about it.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be more than one game.
And I will say the rental lights only go to 100 feet,
Yeah, I know.
whereas like permanent stadium lights are typically 300 feet, which is where you would get a lot more light in the
And I
surrounding
think that's why
area.
I don't think anybody's complained about it.
Yeah, it tends to stay.
It's just out there.
Yeah, even the parking lot is super dark if the lights go off when the stadium lights are on. So I don't think it projects as well as permanent lights do.
Let me ask a question, right? So if I reflect even just over this past fall season,
Yep.
right, when the Bears were using our fields at Campbell High School, they also had lights
Yep.
there. They did,
For the Hudson Bears?
for the Hudson Bears.
Okay.
Right, so were there any complaints about that setup coming into the school?
No, not to me at least.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I think the folks that live around there, that were there when Campbell was built, are gone.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I love the idea, right? And I do think it's a great opportunity for community to get together. I know personally, it's a lot easier for me to make those games on a Friday night
Yep.
than it is a Saturday, but that's just my schedule. You know, and to the extent that you're able to kind of bucket the games together, right, and to take advantage of economies of scale, right, and to get rid of to get rid of the lights at the end instead
Yeah.
of paying for an entire season of them. I think that that works nicely.
Zoe, what do you think from a student perspective?
I think it would get like a lot more people at the games because, like you said, like on Saturdays, no one's really like going to the football games, and I know that like the Friday one for homecoming, like the entire town is there because it's like that's like the known game under the lights. So I feel like it would like get a lot more like students there.
So maybe we can try and reach out to some of the neighbors to ensure no issues there. And
Yeah, I
then-
mean, I guess, we've already been running lights.
Yeah,
I think if
Right,
people were
that's
gonna
the
really
thing.
complain about it, they would have complained
would.
already.
They
Yeah.
would have complained already because there's been lights active on the property for several months.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, I'm obviously super pro this,
yeah,
like Friday
I-
night
I'm
football.
actually-
So
I'm
we could
okay-
go.
I'm okay with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna make a motion to approve this one.
I'm gonna second it.
All right, motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker. Additional discussion?
I'd just like to make sure we make it clear to the people who are paying the taxes that it's not coming out of the taxpayer money.
Yes.
To,
Correct.
keep the optics looking good for our fiscal conservancy.
Yes, thank you, yeah.
The other thing I would like to say is, if there's a community member that has a concern, please raise it up. Don't just complain about it on Facebook. Please bring it to the school board.
Or us, let us know.
Yep.
We're happy to help.
Wanna hear it? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming tonight.
Absolutely.
And we'll
Did we land on you guys can get us?
we'll
some
get
sort
you,
of-
yep, and
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
come
get you
back
a
at the
markup.
next meeting.
Okay.
Markup, and if you think of any other questions between now and the next meeting that we can bring to be, that can be helpful, just let us know and we will
Things to dispose of.
get that to you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
All right, bye, Tony, thanks.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll give it a second for the presentation to be loaded, and Zoe, you're gonna be up.
There you go.
So our spring sports like just started up, and girls lacrosse we're now practicing outside. Our first scrimmage is Monday versus Alvern. Boys also their preseason just started, and their first scrimmage they're actually versing Pembroke right now. And then softball and baseball, their preseason started after school on the 23rd, and then track has kind of been going all year, but their first meet is April 11th. For our past events, on March 10th, there was voting day, so there was no school. And then the 11th, there was the district band concert, which ran to the 12th, which was the district chorus concert. And then March 14th, we did something new this year, so it was a senior spring social, and that was ran by the student council. And it was from 3 to 6 p.m. and basically there was all senior citizens there, and they could come and there was a dance, they could do bingo, there was dinner, and then there was all these different games, and there was a movie in the auditorium for them to watch. And we got a grant this year to be able to put that on, and it didn't come out of our funding, and that got really positive feedback. And then we also had the FBLA State Leadership Conference, which is Future Business Leaders of America, and it's a club at our school. You basically go, and then you it's an overnight trip, and you compete in these events to try to make it to nationals. And then there's prom ticket sales going on, and then March 18th was the CHS Trades and Career Fair Day. For our current events, on April 4th, which is the Saturday before Easter, there's an Easter egg hunt, which is at the CHS and GMS fields. April 6th through the 10th is the CHS musical, and then April 8th is the Army exhibit. April 17th, they have the Music All-State Classical Festival, and then April 22nd is for all the kids going to Spain. There's another Spain info trip meeting. For the future events, April 24th, they have the blood drive. May 6th, there's a Driving Towards Zero presentation, which is for everyone at Campbell in the auditorium. May 6th through the 14th is all the AP testings. May 8th is the junior and senior prom. The 21st is the senior project evaluation. The 26th is the start of Springfest, which is just a week of spirit days, and then the end of the week, the Friday, there's pep rallies inside and outside, and then there's a hypnotist. And then June 1st is a senior dinner cruise. And then we didn't get any new information for LMS this week, but for GMS, they had a successful Read Across America, which was last week, and they're looking forward to their Junk Funk, which is a mini musical artist that I guess is popular there, and that's coming to GMS from April 13th to 17th. And then their preschool registration begins on April 6th.
All right. We're on the way here to April vacation, right? And
Yes.
kind of in wind down mode for the school year.
Sure, wind down is one way to say that 6 weeks after April break. But yeah, we're kind of starting to hit, assessment season, which is always a lot. When spring sports kind of starts up for real, and we're very fortunate that our fields are there. We're getting outside already. Have you guys practiced outside?
Yeah, we
yet?
just started practicing outside.
Yeah, so we're in good shape on that front. And then once we get back from break, it's the big sprint. I mean, a couple things I'm going to talk about in my section related to that sprint. But yeah, we're there. We're in the last push. Last 10 weeks of school, we're in the middle of it right now.
Is it really just 10 weeks to go?
Yeah, 4
Crazy,
till
right?
vacation, 6 after.
June 12th is the last day of school, right?
Hopefully you'll officially agree to that in a few moments.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, okay. June 12th, and I think the target is June 5th for the high school graduation.
June 5th, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How are the LMS fields looking? I know we had them redone last year.
The ones down at GMS? Oh. Well, the ones LMS play on down at GMS, they're looking very good. So we got up there early. Dave got out there and jump in when I misexplain all this. But he took the machine and dug up because the snow went away quick enough on those physical fields. He was able to claw it up with whatever machine does that, which helps it drain faster. So they're playable. I mean, I think they're going down there and practicing right now, which is ahead of where we were last year. So
Great.
we're in really good shape. I think we're talking. Are we going to talk more about doing something more? We could potentially with end of the year funds, looking at the drainage there to even improve it, maybe a little bit.
That's something on the list.
But yeah, they're in good shape.
Excellent, okay. Thank you for the report, appreciate it. All right, we have our first community comment on agenda items. Seeing since there's no community tonight, I'll close this community comment. There's a second opportunity a little bit later this evening, and I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Plansky for correspondence.
Okay, another light week in the correspondence. On the 23rd, we got the meeting minutes from the 18th meeting, March 18th meeting. Then on the 26th, we had 2 payroll manifests from Ann Inamorati. On the 27th, 2 accounts payable manifests. She never fails to send the bills, which is probably a good thing. On on the 30th, the agenda for this meeting was distributed by Ms. Burgess, and then today, on April Fool's Day, Julie sent out some end-of-year encumbrances.
Thank you for that. And we're gonna shift gears into general business, and I'll turn it over to Representative, putting on the representative hat tonight, Mr. Peoples.
Thank you. I'm working on a report for you guys right now with 83 bills of, and their dispositions and how they will impact us or not impact us going forward. If anybody's been following the socials and what's going on up in Concord, SB 101 has been the bill and the topic of interest, and that's the Senate bill on open enrollment. It had the second part of its public hearing today, which is the first time I've seen it bridge 2 days. Many people for it, against, a lot of people against it. There's, as Brian and I were talking before you guys got in, there's several major questions that need to be answered and make that work, and I don't think they have those answers yet, so I'm pretty confident. I don't think that one's gonna make it through the mill, so. Other than that, as I get my report done, we have 5 more bills in ed funding to dispose of, and then I'll get everything to you guys.
Okay. Any questions for Representative Peoples? Nope. Okay, here we are. Thanks for the update. Now I'll turn it over to the superintendent for the report for the week.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hit on some quick things, I think. Julie's gonna be much longer than me today, so we'll get out of the way. So we're gonna change our senior project night change. I wanna inform the board of this. So we had originally scheduled, when we did the calendar, way back a year ago on May 14th. And we're gonna have some AP testing still of kids finishing up testing on that day. So we're gonna push it back another week to the 21st. We actually already did this change reflected in next year's calendar to put it outside the AP testing window. So this, we can get into a rhythm where we're not trying to do AP testing and senior project in the same week. But I just want to inform the board of that change, that's going to be shifted to the 21st now. Make sure the board's comfortable
I'm
with
assuming
that.
that's a welcome change.
It is a welcome change,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, great, thank you.
So we'll update on the official school calendar that change just happens. CHS baseball field. So if you remember that we had a warrant article about naming the CHS baseball field over Coach Gorham. So we've had a couple families, I'm going to use a pun, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but it's the first one that popped up into my head. Step up to the plate and are organizing a fundraiser / donation situation to provide a sign for the field to honor Coach Gorham. We asked to help with that, and they said they want to take it on themselves. So we are still happy to help in any capacity for that, but the families really feel they want to give back to Coach and raise the funds for the sign. So once that happens, they'll have to come here and donate the sign to us, and then we have to take kind of ownership, obviously, of it, because we'll maintain the upkeep of the field, the installation of the sign, and everything kind of moving forward. So we're hoping to get that all done this spring, but I didn't want to lose sight of that, since that was a warrant article, very positively received by the community. I think a very welcome thing by the community, so I just wanted to provide that update to the board. So it's on your radar for a future meeting when we bring that forward. And if you had any questions or any comments or anything else related to that we can take care of that piece of it.
So I saw it on Facebook before I came over.
Yeah.
They put something up there, a GoFundMe thing, and then, is the dedication gonna be the day of, the opening day? I think we had talked about that.
We had talked about that, if we can make it work that way, you know, weather permitting and attendance permitting and everything else like that. That was
When
kind
is
of
the, do you know the first game of the season?
I don't know. Jen, do you know the first home game? I can look it up. Give me a second.
If you want me to look that up.
Yeah, you want to look it up?
Stay tuned.
More to come,
What's that?
more to come.
More to come.
So we're working on that piece and gonna
Okay.
follow through on it.
Okay,
Well, Jen
thank you
gives
for
me
that
the
update.
All right, want to make some of these things official, even though they haven't really changed, but now that we're past snow season, I think we can make some of these things official.
Are you looking for motions on these?
Yeah, so official last day of school is Friday, June 12th, so people know we have one official snow day. We were originally supposed to end on June 11th, so that shifts the calendar one day, so we're at June 12th. One of the reasons why I did not call that last snow day when a lot of other districts around us chickened out, it was still the right decision to come to school that day. So our last day of school, Friday, June 12th. What'd you say for the baseball? Yeah. Friday, June 12th as the last day of school, which sets graduation to the previous Friday for the class of 2026, which will be Friday, June 5th. So I'm asking for official approval on those two.
I'll make a motion to approve the last day of school of Friday, June 12th, as well as the senior graduation of Friday, June 5th.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker. Additional discussion?
Is it a half day or is it a full day?
It's a half day, early release day for on the last day of school. So
Can we make it a full day?
if no, you can't. We have because after
All
the
the
kids
teachers will be
leave,
gone at noon, so it doesn't
and
matter.
the teachers don't leave right away. That's why we can't have it half day because we have to close out with all of them that day as well. So.
Okay, okay. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 That carries 5-0.
April 13th.
First home game, April 13th.
That's a Friday. It's another Friday the 13th. It's like the third one this year.
It's not a Friday.
It's not a Friday?
It's a Tuesday?
I thought it was a Friday.
No, Monday. It's a Monday.
Yeah,
There.
today's the 1st, so
All right.
All right, this brings me to my last thing that I don't necessarily need an answer for this today, but I want to put it on the board's radar. With graduation on June 5th, that becomes suddenly a very busy week in the districts. Not suddenly, we know it's a busy week when graduation is the same week. We have a board meeting tentatively scheduled for June 3rd, Wednesday, June 3rd. Traditionally, senior awards is the Wednesday of graduation week, so those two events would collide. So we can do a couple of things. We're still planning out senior week and everything kind of related to that. So we could shift that ceremony to say Tuesday or some other date. The other idea we kind of popped around in our heads, if you look at the June calendar, right now our meetings are scheduled for the 3rd and the 17th. Considering end of the year stuff, might be benefits. We already added this to next year's schedule where we have another later meeting in June to deal with end of the year stuff. Is there any appetite to adjusting the meeting schedule in June to better align to what we need to do for end of the year work and stuff?
Let's look at conference room availability, because
Yeah.
I know that's generally the challenge. I'm open to it. The other Wednesdays are the 10th and 24th. Ideally, in years past, we've needed a special meeting closer to the end of June
Yeah, that's what we were thinking. So maybe
to make
Conferences,
final
right?
decisions, so
if we did 17 and 24, but I know it's
I'm out of
back-to-back
town on the
weeks.
24th.
not even the 20, I would say, I mean, if you don't want to meet on the 10th, then the problem
only
is,
on the
the problem is going to be the manifests, right?
That's true.
Right, we're going to need a meeting,
Yeah,
to sign manifests.
Yep.
Aren't you saying keep the 10th?
I'm saying definitely keep the 10th, but
we
even
don't
then,
have the 10th.
even then, we're going 3 weeks,
Yeah, that's gonna be.
and it's gonna be an issue for manifests, right?
Yep.
So,
So
we're
can
gonna
we-
need to be flexible to sign manifests for sure. But what I'm also suggesting is we even look at maybe a Tuesday meeting on the 30th.
Can we sign manifests just by going in? We don't have to do it in the meeting, right?
I think that's, I'll
We-
double
we've
check
done it
on that, but I
before.
believe that that's correct.
I think we've gone in and done it before when it was like up against a due date or something.
Yeah, we've gone on and done it before.
Yeah, so we could just go sign manifests.
I wanted to put that on your radar now so we can have these discussions and work through any issues and stuff.
So looking at the town calendar on the website, the 24th, this room is booked.
Yeah.
But the fire station is not. And then the 10th and the 30th are currently open with nothing booked on the calendars for the town calendar.
Yeah, I would tentatively, and we can reach out to Mr. Brunel on this, I would tentatively shift to 10th and the 30th, and the third,
10th is, we have 17th, right? So you're saying move 17th up?
no, move the 3rd to the 10th,
Oh, I
and
see.
then for manifests, we'll have to be flexible and go into the SC for signature.
Yeah.
And then for that second meeting, Mr. Peoples, it sounds like you have a conflict.
Yeah, I'm out of town from the 23rd to the 30th.
Would you be able to join virtually,
Possibly on the 24th.
but not the 30th?
No.
Okay. All right. That's the meeting where we're likely going to go through end of year encumbrances.
Well, I say that, I might be able to join remotely on the 30th. that's a flying day, so I don't know where I'll.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay. All right, so let's reach out to Mr. Brunel and see if there's conference room availability for the 10th and 30th.
Okay.
And then just looking at July, because then we would have our first meeting on that Wednesday, July 1st, we wouldn't need that meeting.
I think we're actually scheduled for the 8th.
We moved it? Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
because that's, yeah, we just do the one in July, right? I think we moved to the 8th. Let me double check.
Yeah, because there's 5 Wednesdays in July.
And that's that 4th of July week,
that's
and it's
that
just
4th of July
easy.
week.
Yeah, and
All right.
we're literally flipping everything over that day, so
Okay.
it's a little of nothing.
Can we just, make sure our calendars are up?
Yeah, send invites. Yeah.
There's no chance. Literally no chance I'll be at these
Well,
meetings.
they gave us the paper calendars. I went and I put the year in.
Oh, God, no.
All right, did everyone get
I
that?
think I got it.
I need it sent to
All
me.
right, target 10th, 30th for June.
My last little bit, I know it's on here, but I gotta do my promotion. We were talking before we went live. So we have a special fundraising event this Saturday night at Campbell High School, where we have Next Gen Championship Pro Wrestling coming. It's a fundraiser for a number of different high school clubs. Student Council is selling concessions. One of the classes is doing 50-50 raffle. Our own wrestling program is doing a fundraiser there with proceeds going towards new wrestling mats for new match mats, which is the nice ones they use during their competitions and stuff. So those are all the fundraisers kind of going on Saturday night. I will be partaking in the fun in some capacity. We'll see what that is. It's just a little bit of a surprise on what my level of involvement is, but I'm sure people have seen the social media videos at this point. So if you're looking for a fun evening and you want to laugh at the superintendent a little bit, I would encourage you to come out and support.
Are you gonna be
some
wearing one
different
of those
organizations.
leotard things? Or?
Look, I put some stipulations in here about what
Kind of
I'm open to a lot.
How many tickets I want to buy?
Yeah,
I was just
that might
thinking
Can I bring
discourage
my
you.
kids? Or?
Yeah, right. No, it's a PG event, so no spandex for me. So,
Couldn't
So-
get a permit.
yeah, it should be fun. And then we're gonna do a second show similar for fundraising a little bit later in April, which might have some other surprises involved too. So.
And what time is this?
Keep the storyline going.
6:30. You gotta keep the storyline going.
6:30,
So
okay.
6:30
Are
Saturday.
they selling tickets at the door? Or
They are selling tickets at the door. Yep, and they're online right now. There's been a link I've sent out a little bit. We have it on social media and stuff. It's for a really good cause, so I don't mind having some fun and poke at me a little bit.
All right.
So it should be good.
Thank you for that.
Are we allowed to bring cameras?
Appreciate you always being a good sport.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see how I'm feeling Monday morning. And that's it for me.
Anything else?
Yeah, it's all gonna be. I think that's it for me.
All right, well,
Is
I-
there more for me?
No, I think that's it for us. I know,
I mean,
Ms. Starling has a lengthier update tonight, so I would like the opportunity to let Zoe enjoy the rest of her evening before we get into a lengthy update, if that's okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Sure.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
appreciate it, thank you.
I think so.
All right, you're up.
So it is that time of year when we're starting to slow down with the spending of regular funds. So this week in particular, our non-essential spending will end on Friday. So beyond that is just whatever we need to operate, kind of things. We're not purchasing textbooks and things like that, moving forward. So once we can do that throughout the month of April, we will continue to hone in on our encumbrances to make sure that they are accurate so that we can properly, estimate what we're gonna have for a year-end balance moving forward. So I'll continue to update you on that. With regard to transfers, I know transfers in general, it's $5,000 is the limit, but I just wanted to be transparent about the fact that we're doing, I wanted to do a transfer from a couple of different lines to purchase, to pay for the dishwasher that we had to replace over at Griffin Memorial earlier this year. So we just wanted to take, I have it outlined here, which lines that we're gonna take them from. They're all from the food service fund, and we just wanted to be transparent about that because the overall total is over $5,000.
What were these funds earmarked for?
So they were food lines for all three schools where the money is coming from. A lot of these lines in particular, I will say, were something that Lauren had tried to kind of dwindle down when we were doing the budget for last year. But with the default, it's set back to what we had for the 25 year. So we did have a little bit of extra room there to be able to transfer into the replacement equipment line.
How do we look for a deficit on the food service?
I'm definitely taking a look at it. It's a little early to be able to tell, but we are carefully tracking that. So, there absolutely will be a deficit, unfortunately, but we just need a little more time. Lauren is definitely tracking very regularly the breakfast and lunches to see where we sit with last year. And right now, we're tracking about the same.
So let's hold that thought for a minute. On the transfer, I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of $5,239 from the three food service accounts.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That carries 5-0. On food service, I would like to start to plan for a meeting with Lauren?
Yes.
To come back into the
She
board?
is planning to do a
We do, yeah,
presentation.
we have it mapped out. Give me
Okay.
1 sec. May 6th board meeting, we have
May
her
6th?
tentatively
Okay, great.
scheduled. Yeah.
Great, yeah. And from there, we'll probably have a clearer picture of what
Yeah.
that
I
deficit
think
looks
that's-
like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great, yep, great.
Another dining service update. Lauren had went to the Legislative Action Conference put on by the School Nutrition Association, which she is the New Hampshire president of. And she did this conference as well last year. So when she goes to the conference, she meets with all 4 New Hampshire congressional delegates to discuss school lunches and the program concerns that they have. And so each of the delegates that she meets with, she does invite them to visit any of the cafeterias in Litchfield schools. Senator Maggie Hassan has taken us up on that offer, and we found out she's going to be coming to Litchfield on Monday, the 6th. We're not quite sure which school she's going to yet, but she will be certainly meeting the staff, observing operations, discussing school lunch, but also maybe serving some food in our
Why is
cafeteria.
our superintendent all bruised?
Right,
If you're in a wheelchair, show you around the school.
yeah. Just like, I just thought of this right now. We've had, with Senator Hassan come, we've had both a governor, the governor, and a senator visit us in the school the same year. Like, that's kind of nuts for us.
Might I suggest sending her to GMS?
We had our last governor within the past couple of years.
Have we too? Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
like encountered this
Yeah.
in my career to have.
Well, Litchfield's a happening place, Brian.
Apparently it is. This is great. Yeah, this is awesome. So, yeah, it's great. This is awesome for the district that we just have people coming and visit, seeing what we're doing. So,
Absolutely. Solar, I guess there's a tentative ship date for May 10th. We don't have that confirmed yet. That would put us at about June 19th for the estimated arrival, if that's shipped on time, to the facility in Maine. So at that point, Kay has explained that there's some assembly going on right now that will be complete when the batteries arrive. So I'm going to continue to check in to make sure we're on track with that timeline.
There's
And
assembly happening now?
yes, there's assembly happening now in preparation for the batteries. So they have, they-
Assembly of the factory? or-
correct.
Can we see pictures?
I can ask.
Right.
They're taping the double.
Okay.
Trust to validate.
I think I just did this for a capital project at
Ronald
work.
was
It like,
right.
can you please send me pictures of this thing actually being built?
Yeah.
All right. I can certainly reach out for that.
Go to Google Images.
Who knows what?
Yeah, right. You don't even need to do that.
Who
Just
knows
go to
what she stands
ChatGPT.
Please show us what it looked like.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also the UL certification is a process that happens along the way so that they will have those visits as well. And that's the other factor that will, basically let us know when everything is going to be ready.
Interesting.
So does that mean we're looking at July or August before the batteries are there?
At a minimum,
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
It's actually helpful if it's after July 1st.
Oh, yeah, I get
Buys
it.
us another fiscal year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna push for.
Once it's assembled, there's some more testing that needs to happen, so there's. it will be a bit
Are
of
there
a
any
process.
additional permits necessary as well?
I'm not sure about permits. I would assume that there would be another one. I know, like, she got the process started with the fire marshal, but I don't know if there's a next.
Let's check on that as
step.
well.
I will ask.
That's
I will
something,
ask.
I don't wanna be delayed with any.
With the building inspector and stuff too, a lot of electrical will have to be, all those connections will have to be inspected.
And I think the state fire
The
marshal
UL
has to
could
do it
take a
too.
while too, that, I don't,
Right.
that's,
We don't have a building inspector.
Well, there's another delay.
So I guess the other question that I have, I know when Dynamic Grid's last response, they said that the solar array is now exporting power to the grid. Is there a way to find out whether it's Eversource or Dynamic Grid as to what is that magic number for a week or a month or whatever it is? So, we have an idea of.
So what the building load is?
Yeah, what the building load is on like a monthly average or something.
Okay.
Just so then that way we can say we're generating X, kilowatt hours above what is required.
Okay.
Well, I think that's what this chart is telling us, right? So this is the net energy.
This chart is telling us the amount of energy that the grid is producing, not the amount of energy that is being exported.
So you're talking about the delta between what we're using.
Using and what the
what's
grid
being
is
generated.
making.
Because that's essentially gonna go into the battery.
Right.
I guess when I look at net, is that the production?
So-
Or is that what you're asking for, less our usage?
This is the net on the
On the
on
total.
the grid inverter's system itself. So this is just the net energy production of the solar grid.
Okay.
This is not taking into account and offsetting what the building is using.
And I wonder why, like, if you look at March 25th, why it produced 982 kilowatt hours, right? And then today, where it was very mild, it produced 268 kilowatt hours.
yeah, and it was sunny most of the day.
Sun.
Cloudy,
Yeah, it's been cloudy the last couple days.
cloud cover. Yeah. Okay.
All right. I will certainly get that information for you.
Thank you.
Sure.
And before they dig up anything back there, right, let's talk about pavement.
Do you want me to put the
Perfect.
picture up? I have it here.
Sure, yeah,
picture
so
did
the
look
public,
good.
so the public is aware, right, the next, item on our agenda is LMS parking lot.
The snow's actually melted. You're gonna see snow. Who knows?
Unfortunately, LMS has suffered a catastrophic, what I'll call a catastrophic sinkhole. And we're identifying what to do with this issue.
This is not looking good for the catch basin infrastructure up there at all.
Correct. So we.
Nope.
We did receive a quote, to, basically repair that, pipe, and everything, the asphalt around it. And it's, just under $20,000, so it's a significant expense. With what I've been told is, with the catch basins that are underneath, obviously we're looking at redoing the parking lot, in the very near future. So in the past, we have had some issues, not this significant, as far as having some smaller sinkholes, pop up in that lot. And we have filled them, which was a temporary solution. It's still about $5,000 a pop. We were wanting to do something a little more permanent this time, particularly with the situation with the light post being there as well, and just the location of it. We just think that's something that we need to address a little more aggressively. But we do still need to talk about the redoing of the parking lot as far as whether it's end of year, we do need to hire, someone to do the, engineering to give us basically survey the parking lot to let us know the extent of what would need to be replaced, and also the design for ADA compliance, because that piece is huge. Continental or any other paving company can do the paving for you, but you need to have that, design done by.
I thought they also did the design as well.
So they came out yesterday to look at this, and they think the design that is needed for this is beyond what they're gonna do. Like, their recommendation, is that we hire an actual civil engineer to look at that parking lot. And they're happy to help facilitate that. They're, this is part, I think, what we're gonna ask for is like, instead of putting this out for bid, like, we need to get some quotes and some things and get this moving, right, and not put out a lengthy bid process for it. So they have an engineer, that they work with that we're gonna have. There's a contact that we have, I think Kim Kleiner was gonna give us a civil engineer, we could talk to that person. We have a civil engineer.
What did they recommend? You might-
I don't have the name
We
in
don't
front
have
of
the
me.
name
Yeah. But, and we're open to other people, like if anyone on the board knows a civil engineer who wants to come look at this. But they say, like, you gotta bring it up to ADA compliance. The work's probably gonna go to, essentially, we're not all the way to the school itself, but like up to that sidewalk, right, that's like on the other side of the bus loop road, cause that's where the slope starts. And that they can do something to essentially the front lot to make that ADA compliance, and then a lower level that does not necessarily have to make the same compliance. But to do that amount of design work is gonna be significant and beyond what they want to design. They would ask for a civil engineer to get that all legal and correct and everything.
So they almost make like a step for the handicap spots, if you will,
Correct.
and then
Yes.
steps down to.
Correct,
the
to a
regular
lower
parking.
lot that is not necessarily handicap accessible, but that top one is, and because it's a school, we can have that type of layered kind of structure and stuff, like multiple
will
le-
this-
multiple levels.
Have they done any, investigation looking, running a camera down any of those pipes to see what the concrete pipe looks like?
Not yet.
We have intentionally
Not looked?
put that on hold, right, because it was our understanding that Continental did that type of work. And it sounds like now, based upon their assessment yesterday, that they're advising us to go to a civil engineer route.
Cause it's gonna set the tone for how much it's gonna cost if that concrete pod.
Agree, so
pipe
now,
is-
now with this
damaged.
information, we need to make decision.
So, Andrew Ruggles, Allen and Major, he's GMS parent.
Yep.
Is a structural engineer.
Yep.
Yep.
They do great work.
What was this first name?
Andrew Ruggles, but it's Allen and Major, ALLEN and Major. They're out of Manchester. They're right over the airport.
And the civil engineer will look at all of the drainage issues and
Yeah.
because I don't want this on a new parking lot either.
Right, so like the idea is like we do this now. And
This is like I mean they're going to be probably at least 12 weeks out on something like this.
potentially, yeah.
So
Which is kind of somewhat of our urgency to
So
get.
what do we do in the interim?
Well,
That,
We fill it.
Well, that's exactly what we need to sort out. If we want to do the quick fix of filling it as we've done before, or if we want to do a more permanent solution and actually fix.
so is there
So
a
that-
pipe under there?
Replace the
Because I tried to blow that up and see if there was a pipe, unless the pipe is going straight down into something
There,
else.
well, it is a catch basin and from there, I'm thinking the pipe's going this way, but I can't tell.
catch
But you
basin's
could
going
take, and just as a temporary fix, get a load of 3-inch stone from the pit, pour that in there, and you could even just put a piece of fabric down on top of the grate and let the 3-inch run right over it. The water will go right through it, through the 3-inch, and it'll bolster up that pole.
so,
I mean is
It's
this
significant.
it's got to be stabilized though, right?
yeah, so this,
That would stabilize.
You're saying pour stone into it?
Yeah. Pour it right
Okay,
down.
hole
I
with
thought you
stone.
were saying on top of it.
No, right at that, to put
Into
it
the
right
hole.
back in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
hole,
yeah,
and
yeah. Okay.
it'll shore up the light pole. It'll still allow water to get down there, and
Yeah.
it'll buy us some time to get to.
But my view is to temporary fix it.
Yeah.
Right, let's get a civil engineer to ASAP to do the studies.
Is this the temp?
And I'd like to see if this is something we can tackle with encumbrance end of year to get done.
You wanna
Yeah.
talk on this?
Well, I mean, this is the quote to do a little more extensive, yeah.
So this quote going around kind of, I'm not very good at the explanation, but like the catch basin, right? And the pipe coming there,
Yes.
that, where those things meet, that's what's rotted through,
Okay.
right?
That's why I don't see it, but
Yeah,
Yep.
so like this
It's
fixes
full pipe,
that connection right there. And there's the risk, and it's more expensive than just filling, right? Like this is 18.5, we're anticipating being like $5,000 or $6,000. This could carry over to the work that we have done in the parking lot, but it might not.
I don't think,
But-
I wouldn't even.
It's not going to if we have it re-engineered.
right, if we do a big stair up for the handicap piece.
Right, it might
That's gonna
not,
get ripped
but
out.
yeah, so yeah, I don't 100% know how they would design it and do that, but we were just told like, you might be able to salvage this, you might not,
No,
if you do this work.
The,
Well, there's-
the might not part of it for twice, 2 or 3 times the cost.
Well, they might be able to reuse the concrete sleeves.
Yeah.
Because
That's fine, but
those usually don't go bad, they just stack more on top of them.
but they'll probably be able to reuse the stone that we dump in the hole. You know what I mean? Like it's. I think
But-
just dump stone in the hole.
Yeah,
That
but-
company TDD Earth Tech is great though. I've used them before.
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's, just, it buys you some temporary time. I mean, that's definitely not a,
We used to have a really old house and I tried to replace the sink, one little pipe in the sink, and every time I touched the pipe, it broke the pipe below it. It took me like a Patriots game and a Celtics game to get it fixed and 9 trips to the Home Depot. So I would
That's how
say
that works.
my thought would be Ray's idea with the rock
Yeah.
and get us through until we have a design.
Yep.
But you're good with us, like, getting to that, and getting an engineer in here, getting the design, and trying to
Yeah,
get this
we
done.
have-
like,
I would
ASAP.
support that, yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to do it at some point.
The question is without any understanding of cost, right? How do we fund something like this?
Well, I mean,
This
The
this
It depends.
this may be us having to touch the roof money, right?
not necessarily. I mean, I have no idea what this is gonna cost, but I'm gonna throw out a very round number for argument's sake. $500,000, right? So let's say it's $500,000.
that's wrong.
I know, but like just for like it's a large amount of money that like that this thing could cost, right? Potentially, we're gonna have to look at our funding right now, like now. So the timing is not the worst in the sense of like we've stopped the not excess spending, but we've kind of done that light freeze of the budget for only thing that we have to spend money on, kind of moving forward, right? So we can get a handle on our end of the year funds. We are not committed to any of those warrant articles yet. They've passed, but they're all based upon whether or not you have the money available to pay them, right? You know what I mean? Like those warrant articles we do. So we should, if we're very careful, be able to find like that level of money within our budget right now, but it just may not result in the same amount of money to our warrants that we thought we were gonna have, if that makes sense. That would allow us to
Have to
not.
fund them?
What's that?
Well,
If they were voted, if there were yes votes?
You're supposed to fund them, but you gotta get to them first, right? So like,
If you encumber
he's
first,
saying we're gonna
then
essentially we're gonna encumber.
so this expense, I would say, reaches like emergency level. We have
I
a
thought
hole
we
in the
had to do
parking
it the
lot,
opposite
right?
way.
We gotta, it all depends on sequencing, right? Like, this is something, in my estimation, that's borderline emergency, and we have to fix this now, right? So now it jumps in front of the warrant articles, right? Like, we need to take care of that expense first, and then we would get to see. So let's say this was again, I'm using round numbers. We have no idea what our end of the year is. Don't quote me on any of these numbers, but just for explanation's sake, let's say this cost $500,000, and what was unspent was $700,000, right? 500,000 is gonna go from that 700,000 to take care of this. We're left then with 200,000. We would need to do warrants then at that point. And obviously, our warrants cost more than that. We have more warrants than 200,000, so we won't be able to fully do the warrants
But it would only do the first warrant, right?
at that point, yeah,
Even
using
though
those
you're not fully
hypothetical
funded, right?
numbers, right? But that's why we need to get a handle on this. Now, there's other ways you can like look at it, we're bridging fiscal years, like we're asking for advice on like how we can approach this, right?
I wasn't talking about the cost of the parking lot. I was talking about the cost of the civil engineer.
Well, that, yeah, I think we can, well, yeah.
Let's take it in baby steps.
But yeah, maybe I should have paused. I'm just already thinking to like a lot of zeros behind this project.
Andy's a local resident, so maybe he will be kind to us.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we were, again, back of the napkin trying to guess what a civil engineer is. Like, we have the GMS project, right, where we have a certain cost associated to what we're paying Harriman, right? And then thinking about what this could potentially cost, we were thinking like a civil engineer, again, back of the napkin, I have no idea, like $10,000 to come and look at this, you know?
Andrew Ruggles will get you that number tomorrow if you.
Call him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just overpromised for himself.
Yeah.
He could give you an estimate on what it would cost it for the engineering.
If you stopped at his house, he could probably give you a ballpark number on that.
So I think if we're talking like that level of money, if we're talking like $10,000, $15,000, we can find that, right? Like we can take care of that.
All right.
I think it's those larger numbers of doing this project and how we bridge it with the 2 fiscal years.
So let's
we're gonna
move this
have to be
forward.
really
I'll make a motion to put a temporary fix to the current catastrophic failure at LMS, and also proceed with civil engineering design of the LMS parking lot. Second. Motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker. Additional discussion?
No, it's gotta be done.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0.
Thank you.
And it says asphalt right now is between $70 and $100 a ton, which is somewhere between $7 and $15 per square foot. That'd be a little bit more because it's a commercial lot.
All right, and then end of year, I did attach the link again to the end of year sheet, and then I did create a separate tab down below with the CIP items, just giving a little more information on those, because those were items that were taken right from the on-site insight. So if you want more detail on that, you can go to that second sheet. Still need to get quotes on a bunch of these, so that's on my radar, and we are working to get those.
Yep, and who knows with the parking lot, so we'll
That's
find,
right.
we'll see.
Right, that could
So
change everything.
that could change everything.
Sure.
It could. I'm gonna make my pitch for vans, though. I gotta ask a question about vans. So, I have a question actually. Is anyone familiar with this company called Model One that's in Hudson?
No.
So they're like right by Alvern.
What do they do?
They sell commercial passenger vans,
Oh.
which is like what we're like looking at.
By
I just-
Alvern.
Yeah, like in Hudson.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the company either, but just like doing the research of this, like if we're like getting a quote for those type of vans, you would get it from like Merchant, from like Enterprise, like those. But then this company called Model One that's super local in Hudson came up at selling them. I just went through their website and they have like the type of vans we would be looking at. I just didn't know if anyone was familiar with them or anything. So
Are they new or used?
Used.
they're both. They're new and used. They sell. You know, I think if we pursue this, would pursue used vans because it better bang for our buck for what we're trying to do. But
Mike, I guess my only
Just
biggest question around that is, what do we have for liability? I know anytime you start being a
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reaching out to
Yeah.
Primex
a
tomorrow.
carrier, you
There's specific-
sometimes you need to have them inspected twice,
Yep.
3 times a year.
there's specific RSAs around it. We've been working
Yeah.
with legal too about like making sure we have everything straight for it. I mean, many districts do this, so thankfully it's
Yeah, Alvern has like 3 vans.
Yeah.
I see them in the parking lot
Yep.
every morning, but.
More and more
They might
districts
be
are
able to
doing
help
it.
you with what that entails.
Yeah, so we can have a 12-person van, right? 15 is where it becomes a school bus and you can't do it anymore. But 12-person, you can just have a normal license to do it. There is additional cost for like, obviously the gas that goes into it and making sure it's inspected regularly and following all that type of stuff. But there's savings. Tony was running numbers for me. Just from athletic savings in year 1, you can almost cancel out the cost of the actual van. Like it's vans run used ones between 30 and 40,000. It looks like from our pricing, our athletic savings, because you would take your smaller teams in the van, He estimated about what we spent on that last year was $35,000, so they're almost a wash, and just for that. But you got to deal with the gas and some other things as well. But they could be a significant savings if we built up like a fleet, like 2 or 3 of them. We could do our CTE transportation through it, do most of our athletic teams through it, field trips, other things as well.
Why
So-
couldn't you do the same van for both purposes?
You can, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, CTEs during the
Yeah,
day.
yeah. So like right now, we could do it with one van because we have about 12 kids who take the bus in each session right now. Because we have a number of kids who drive to CTE right now because of the programs that they're in. If you say had 15 kids, you would have to either do 2 runs, which is simple enough. Alvern's not that far. Or if you were to get a second, I think, we're not proposing a second, but like if you thought about getting a second van, you could then bring your soccer teams and lacrosse teams and some bigger teams and do them via vans, not just the golf teams and cross country and stuff like that. Just something to think about as well.
My question is why are we even talking about this as an encumbrance if it's in the budget, right? And it's absorbed by the budget for the same cost?
We can do it that way. We have no issue with that. We can also look at impact fees for this possibly as well to cover it.
For programs.
Yeah, because it's expansion of programs. It is, we can make the argument, because we can offer more athletic stuff throughout the schools. Like, for example, at the middle school this past year, we had enough kids to run B teams in basketball, but transportation was the hang up. So we couldn't do a full schedule for the kids because we didn't have the same. We had to rely on parent transportation and other transportation because we couldn't get the buses. If we had a van, though, now we can expand that schedule for kids and have more opportunities for them.
Are we still paying the money to transport the kids from the high school down to the soccer field?
That's in the budget.
That's in the budget.
That's like
because-
14 grand right
Yeah,
there.
it's
Correct.
crazy,
Because I remember that number from some reason.
because they're not gonna be able to use Dara now.
Right. Which makes me nuts.
But you could just take them in a van.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
Is
what I'm
it,
saying.
is there $14,000
You
towards
have
your
like a
van
couple
right there?
of them, like, and when you can build up a couple of them, you can have multiple things going on at the same time, right? Golf can go to this competition, cross country can go to that one on the same day, and you're not utilizing it. So there's good stuff with this.
We talking about LMS soccer transportation or CHS?
Yes,
LMS.
LMS.
I'm gonna go back to let's make the soccer field at LMS again.
I
For
mean,
probably, I don't know, 15 grand.
I think it might be a little more than that. We kicked the tires on it. Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
Anyways, just the stuff to.
Well, we'll continue to track encumbrances over the next several board meetings. For curriculum and instruction,
Sarah's out today. She's at a NEAS visit. She thought she might be able to get back here in time this evening, but obviously didn't. So I will skip her CIA update, but I do want to talk about professional learning tracking.
Okay.
So we have a program through Frontline that tracks professional development hours for staff that we've been using. It's kind of clunky and not very helpful and stuff like that. So Sarah was looking at utilizing Vector, which we already use for our trainings and stuff like that, using Vector's version of that professional development tracking. It's the same cost as the Frontline one, but we would just be changing the program. So we just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. She's going to talk. It's not something we have to solve. We have to decide today. I want to talk a little bit more about it, but that's what that professional learning tracking is we want to switch the program that tracks our professional development hours. It's not any additional money. It's the same cost, but we did want to tell the board that. So I think what she wants to bring up, because next year in the budget process, she could be looking at additional tools through Vector when it comes to our evaluation model. Again, we use one tech system for that, but Vector has a version of that we could just streamline everything through Vector, and I think she wanted to discuss that a little bit with the board. So but that is her area.
That's
So I'm
for
just
teacher
giving-
evaluations?
Yeah, yep,
okay?
and that's it.
All right, any questions for the superintendent?
On that, would there be, as we obtain more and more modules with Vector, is there gonna be, I'll say, an overall advantage in cost savings?
Well, yes and no, right? Like, I think it's like anything. With some things, you'll save some money over here, and I think that's what she wants to go over, right? Like with the professional tracking, the tracking professional hours, it's kind of a net neutral. There's no change in the cost between them. If you shift to the evaluation process, depending on how far deep we go into it, it could be cheaper, it could be more expensive, and she has a presentation that she wants to go over and kind of go over those options so people are familiar with it. You can go to, and obviously this comes through the budget process, but since she wants to kind of prep that in advance. And depending on like how much depth we want to go into with some of the tools that they have would be how much money we're spending on it, so.
Yeah, no, okay, so.
I mean, I'd like to understand what Vector is.
Yes.
And maybe the different options that
Yes,
they
exactly.
have, and how,
Yeah.
and then how it helps the program.
Right, and that's what we want, and that's what she wants to show everybody, is
Okay.
those different aspects of it.
And kind of where I was going with, I use a lot of software tools of where I get just this module. And as I start adding modules and then I go to re-up that license, if I got each module individually, would cost more. But if you start bundling to say I have 3 modules or 7 modules.
Exactly, yeah.
Then doesn't matter how deep you get, but I got, I have one software company with 7 modules versus 7 software companies.
Yeah.
So that can actually produce a decent amount if the Vector or the software system does that.
Yeah.
And then when you have issues, you only have one neck to choke, and you have some leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, we'll look forward to that update. Next up on the agenda is our public minutes from March 18th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Thank you.
Second?
We have a motion by Mr. Shoemaker, seconded by Mr. Plansky. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? It was carried 5-0. We have some policies this evening for first read.
Yep, the first batch of 5 there are just updates to the formatting. So there's no approval necessary for them, but just so you know, the formatting was updated on them. You might ask why a couple of them have stars next to it. It's only a reference because there was significant work done by district committees on those, so they don't match the School Board Association exactly. Each of those goes actually into greater detail than what the School Board Association has as a model policy. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that, because we have been making a considerable effort to match the New Hampshire School Board Association with our policies, but those differ. But it feels like the right thing to do, reviewing notes and previous committee work attached to those
There
specific
have been
policies.
a lot of committee discussions on these. I'm just curious on your take of these policies.
Well, dress code, as a former high school administrator, is always, especially a male high school administrator, is always an enjoyable thing. I actually think your dress code is pretty straightforward and fair. I wouldn't make any big suggestions and changes to it. I like that in the policy it discusses like the core values, because I think sometimes with dress code policies, which can be tricky, and I imagine this was part of the conversations, is like, how do you do equitable for different body sizes, different demographics, in the sense of sometimes kids are wearing clothes that because they're in a different financial situation that may not be as well fitting as someone who's in a better financial situation and can put more polish in their clothes and stuff like that. Trying to be gentle with how I say that. So I think the dress code policy is pretty fair and straightforward.
Is it enforced?
Is it enforced?
Oh. I don't even know what it is, but I bet it's not enforced.
I have one kind of question.
I'm willing to bet it's not.
I mean, I think I will only speak from my experience of trying, and since I'm not currently in a position where I need to enforce the dress code, I feel like I can speak a little more freely on this. I think you step in and enforce dress code when there's a legitimate safety risk or a social risk and stuff like that, right? Like a lot, when back in the day when I used to have to do it, you would try to pull kids aside. First of all, you can't have like the illegal stuff, right? Like you can't be promoting marijuana on a shirt. We got to address that. That gets addressed, right? But like when it comes to like trying to find the balance between fashion and what is in for kids versus coverage and everything else, you try to understand like, is a kid safe in what they're wearing, right? Like, or is a kid recognizing how they're presenting to like others from the outside? Like I can recall sometimes like there's no way around this. You talk about young ladies that sometimes they don't understand how the backpack may change how their clothing is laying on their body, right? So in those cases, you might grab a female administrator and ask them to speak to a young lady. Be like, do you know when you put your backpack on, it's actually pulling up this part of your dress, and like you may not even be aware, right? Because that's a safety social risk. So you try to have that conversation about it. With some of the males, like you try to like, I mean, male conversations are different coming from a male. Like, you want to date those girls, right? So you want to look presentable and like sharp for them and like these type of things, right? So you try to have those type of conversations that are respectful to what is current in culture and current in what they're wearing, and making sure it's not distracting for the purpose of school, which is like education. So that's a really roundabout way to say it's really tough to enforce dress code, and we try to step in if there's reasons. I'll let Jen clean up my mess there, as I try to explain that.
I do have one question.
Can you hear me better now? Yeah, I mean, I think it's changed over time too. I mean, I've been working now in high school for a long time, and fashion changes just like the times. And I think just having conversations with female students, if I have to pull them in because for one reason or another, it's been brought to our attention that someone is concerned about what they're wearing. And to Brian's point, it's because it's for their own well-being. Maybe they not realizing, that how it comes off to others. And the kids are really great about it. I mean, I think it's hard when dress codes are written too specific. I would rather them be gray and let us in the moment say, you know what, platform shoes, if you want to wear those around, as long as, maybe you don't. I've had kids have to change shoes. I mean, that could be something, because they're unsafe to go up and downstairs. But I feel like when you leave it a little bit broad so that there's some gray area to be flexible with students, and then to not have to revisit your dress code every 2 or 3 years because you're like, oh, we didn't know whatever would be a fashion trend, and that's a problem now, I think leaves more ability for us to kind of make decisions that fall in line. We definitely are all over any drug or alcohol references, or references to anything that is worrisome and and that could disrupt the learning environment, right? We always have that to fall back on. So that's kind of my spiel.
Okay.
The kids have been really receptive. I mean, enforcing, am I getting a ruler out because stuff is defined and it says it should be X amount thick and this wide and this long and can't be this tall and, no.
You had a question, Mr.
I do have one, and TSA doesn't have any problem getting a ruler out, just so you know that, just in case. Reading through this, is there any moratorium on things like tails and ears? And,
Well,
as you know, I did question you
I
about
know,
dress
you
code
said
over at
something.
LMS one day.
I think you got to base it on the circumstance that you see things, right? Like, I know this is not what you're asking, but I'm going to use it as an
It was not
example.
Halloween.
But like, my daughter's in 3rd grade. She has a headband that has ears on it, right? Like, a lot of girls that age have cat headbands that have ears on them. Like, that's just in for young kids right now, right? So like, you're not going to lose your mind when you see that because, I don't know, someone she saw on TikTok wears a headband like that. It just is what it is. I think you have to recognize like the student, the social dynamics of the situation, what's in from just like, I look at when I was in high school, which was the late 90s, right? I graduated in 2000, and like that, like goth look was really in, right? Like where kids would wear a lot of black and with chokers and with other things.
I could see you in that.
Yeah. And
Wear it at the wrestling event Saturday.
and you would see that, and that was a kid expressing themselves that they wanted to break from norms, right? Like it was just what that expression was. I don't think hopefully no one overreacted when they see kids dressed like that. That was that generation's kind of like, we're not going to conform to the normality of your jeans and t-shirts, right? That type of thing. So I think some kids like to use their dress as a way to express some personal, just personal, whatever it is, right? That they aren't going to wear their t-shirt and jeans, so they're going to wear something different. I don't see any of our kids using dress to be inappropriate or to make any any statements that are, disruptive to learning or anything like that. I think as you see kids from elementary school to high school and where they are maturity-wise, we see some young fifth graders, right? And then we see some very adult, old high schoolers who have, tattoos all up in their arm already, and then everything in between. So I think you just gotta look at the kid, look at the situation, look at what they're in their life. I mean, it's crazy when you see kids. This is high school, I have this in mind, and sometimes you can see their evolution of style over the course of their 4 years. You see it in young men a lot because they start off very rough from a clothing standpoint and sloppy, and then they clean up quite a bit by the time they get to be seniors in high school, Yeah. But it's true, right? Like, they start caring about their appearance
Well,
differently.
as the ice keeps getting thinner and thinner and your skates are getting sharper, my question came back down, are tails allowed in this dress code?
Well, I think it all depends on the situation. I don't think we have a rule against tails in the dress code, but I think if there was a situation where we thought the tail was a distraction to learning, then we could have a conversation with it.
I would say the tail is a distraction with learning.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be having furries in the school.
Other
Right.
than the dog, there should be nobody with tails and ears.
Yeah. But I mean,
The first grade girl with the ears
Yeah.
as a headband, that's kind of a normal
Right.
thing. But I think if you have a 14-year-old dressed as a dog in the school with a tail.
and that's where I come
that's
from
enough.
a safety thing, right? Like, if a kid is walking around dressed as a dog, acting like a dog, we need to have a conversation, right?
And then you use the bathroom outside like a dog and eat out of a dog.
If a kid, like, in 6th grade, 7th grade, on a one-off, you know what I mean, wore like a winter hat that had the cat ears kind of out of it, and it was a one-off, and we don't see the hat the next day because whatever reason they picked that hat off, we're not going to overreact to that type of situation,
It was just, I just wanted to see if I can get that clarified. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be controversial, I'm just
Do you
saying.
want to follow up though and answer and ask whether there's litter boxes? Because there's not.
I
'Cause
don't.
That's usually the follow up.
I don't.
I
don't, but I was at LMS and witnessed matter of fact, I ran into Brian right after that in the office when I asked about the dress code. That ran by me wearing a tail and ears. Like,
So I do have a question because this kind of hits me personally when I was growing up. Under additional requirements 1, it says clothing may not depict weapons. I actively participated in a Olympic sporting event as a junior for competitive marksmanship. I was on the state and national and regional teams, and I had windbreakers. So like in this, I had this conversation at the high school. We were at a U.S. Olympic sponsored team. How does that play into this?
See, we wouldn't address that from a dress code standpoint, right? Like,
Okay.
that's not something, I mean, you see it with kids. I mean, I think when you see the word weapon there, like, how is the shirt being, like, what is the context of
Okay,
it, right? Like, we
good.
see
That's
like,
what
what
I
you're
would
saying
expect.
from that, like, we know that's a recognized organization, right? We have kids that are in ROTC at
Perfect.
Alvin, right? That wear ROTC stuff. Like, we know the context of that situation. We
That's-
know, like, some of the clothing brand, what is it? I'm not a fashion person, so I might say any of this, but Nine Line, right, has a lot of, like, gun imagery. There's nothing, like, violent there in that type of brand and stuff like that. We know that's the branding of the shirt, and that's what the oriented. We're not concerned about that. It's a signal to us that kid's going to
Okay.
utilize weapons. And that's what I mean, using that common sense and viewing it in the lens of safety, right?
Yep.
Like,
No,
and everything.
I completely agree with your perspective. I just that.
No, it's good, and I think we've come a long way. I mean,
Yep.
me and Jen have both been in the high school world for probably 20+ years now, and we were at a school at the same time that had a uber strict dress code that was letter of the law, that we ran into a lot of problems, whether it was measuring straps or it was like dealing with the imagery on it and all this other stuff, and it just created this very like tense culture around it
Yeah.
all and combative culture around it all, when it was just like, if we step back and use common sense, we don't need to do all this. I mean, even with some of the alcohol stuff, right? Like the way that breweries have merged into restaurants and have really kind of cool graphics, like, just use your head, right? Like, the kid visited with their family, like
Right.
Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville in Florida, you're not gonna overreact if there's nothing like there that's like specifically like offensive or anything like
Yeah.
that. I don't know if that's the best example, but you know what I'm saying.
No,
like we're-
I do. Just in my case, it took lawyers with national backing to go against my high school for me to wear my windbreaker to say I'm being sponsored at an Olympic level.
Yeah.
You would like my high school. We had a gun range in the basement, rifle range for practice.
Final question. One of the big things about our dress code and this policy was baseball caps, right? At the middle school and high school, and do we allow it? Don't we allow it, right? What's the status? So I'm just curious, now that this policy's been in place for, I believe, a couple of years, how many kids are wearing baseball caps at the middle school or high school?
I mean, at the high school, it's some, but not as many as you
Yeah.
think. I think the flowy hairstyle is so in, like, that's been the thing the past few years. But it's nice if a kid chooses to wear one. You know, we don't know why kids wear hats like more often than others, right? Is it something that makes them feel more confident? Is it just because it's cool? Like, we don't know, right? And as long as, my biggest thing is like facial covering, right? I would rather see kids wear a hat if they wanted to have something over themselves than like a hood. And thankfully, at least at my level, I don't have kids trying to hide in hoods, and I will ask them, hey, can you just like take your hood down for the day? And again, kind of dealing with kids on like an individual basis depending on their needs, and kind of trying to get to the root of the problem. Personally, having worked in a school where there was a rule with no hats, and I understand where that came from. I think that's a little antiquated for the times, and it's really not something like truly that I would want to have to chase or battle or fight. I would rather focus on like what learning is going on and how on earth is a baseball hat going to determine the capacity to which a kid can or can't learn something. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I guess I haven't thought about hats in a long time, which is a good thing. And now I'm trying to think, walking through the schools, how often I see them on kids' heads.
I was just
And
curious,
I definitely
right?
see them, but like it's not like all the time.
It was a big debate. It was a big
Yeah,
And I think it was a big debate because the kids had their phones and they had earbuds in, and you couldn't tell who was listening to music and paying attention. And
yeah.
See, I go back to something much simpler in the whole regard, I think. If you're wearing a hat indoors, why? It's always been customary not to. And if it's a rule, and part of school is learning how to follow rules and to operate in our society because we are founded in rules and laws, then I don't know why you wouldn't try to enforce it. Or just say, look, you just can't do it, and
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, working as an assistant principal at a school that had a no hat rule, I mean, I wasted hours of my life and professional career talking to kids about wearing hats. Like, it just is like, I mean, you know, it's just like, I understand where you're coming from, and that would be the basis of my conversation, like, constantly. But it was just like, we gotta pick our battles sometimes, and is this a battle that we wanna pick? And you have to decide that as a community, as a school, as whatever it's gonna be. I think right now, look, I'm thinking of the high school, like, you're right, a lot of kids just don't wear hats. I think it is the flowy hairstyle they want to let their hair out and stuff like that, but it'd be a good thing if Zoe was still here to ask her opinion on it, but, yeah.
And I understand about picking your battles. I just see that as a small battle in the scope of things. And if you straighten it out, when it's small, you're not going to have to deal with it when it's larger.
Fair
But
point.
that's just me, and I'll yield my time and let that go.
90% of the time, you know.
I mean, I'm someone who wears their hat when I'm not, I mean, this kind of makes your argument, so I understand what I'm going to say. If I'm not in my professional setting, I have a hat on, right? Like all the time, right? And even if you see me at events I come here, that's like not, like I've gone home and come back, I'll have a hat on, right? And it's just like I've grown up with a hat on my head all the time. I'm also very conscious of where my hair is headed, so like, maybe that's part of the reason.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean, Brian.
I'm not gonna argue that.
And I wear a hat a lot on the weekends when I'm running errands and doing stuff. Like, I don't know. I just,
So, and I'm not saying in those contexts it's not good, but I'm saying if it's a policy and it's in the policies and it's in the school, it should be enforced. That,
But it's not, right?
But we don't have
It's not
a
in
no
there. It's not
hat
in
here.
there.
I don't care about litter
And-
boxes.
We have a we don't have a no hat rule.
We
Here.
added it specifically to our policy.
No, it can't, it
No, it's there.
didn't
It says
pass.
headwear does not cover the
The
face
no
or
hat
ears
rules
is
did not
permitted.
pass.
Wait, hold on.
Number 4 in a minimum requirements at CHS
Nobody
elements
should
headwear
face.
that does not cover the face or ears is permitted.
Headwear that does not cover the face or ears.
So you can't wear masks.
Right.
You can't wear anything like that. So you can wear a
Correct.
ball cap.
Yeah, you can wear a ball cap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't
We're
wear a
talking
hood.
the same thing.
You gotta take the
Yes.
hood down. Yep.
Or like a face mask kind of thing.
Of course,
All
you
right.
could always go back to a
Well,
uniform.
that was a good discussion. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else on first read? I know there's other policies here, but those that have the asterisk specifically.
I mean, I'll just say I really like the student activity. I mean, it's more of the procedure too, but I like the idea, the process of the rehabilitation plans when kids have co-curricular violations. I mean, a lot of kids rely on their co-curriculars. That's some of their driving force to participate in school. So the fact that there's consequences, but a kid can earn back, you know, the ability to get back on a team and some of those other things, and there's a tiered approach to that, I think is a nice thing, and I'm glad that this district has that. And then wellness is very involved. It's a very involved, well done policy.
Yeah, these policies have gone through
A
the
lot.
ringer. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the updated policies.
Yep. So on the first one, it's pretty straightforward. We had to add something around a complaint specifically about discrimination because of updates to that law. And then, yeah, so those are added from new additions to laws recently.
Have a good night.
For procedural safeguards, the nursing mothers one, let's see, what's the update for that? Oh, it's got to change some of the language to match the policy. And our Title IX coordinator, who is our human resources person, is the one who actually deals with it, so we updated that to that properly. And some other additions from suggested policy. I don't think any of these are very big updates. They're just cleaning up from changes in law recently.
Well, this is first read, right? So we'll see these again at our next board meeting for second. So I'll make a motion to approve policy ACE, policy ACN, policy BEC, policy EB, as well as policy EBB for first read.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker. Additional discussion on those? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Those carry 5-0. Thank you for that. All right, we have old business. I know the board has already approved the code of conduct and code of ethics. They just need to be circulated for signature. We have committee assignments back on the agenda tonight?
Well, we just need to finalize FIC.
Oh, that's right, for FIC. So where did we land with facilities?
I landed at the last meeting.
I know, I was not, I was not around. The,
Well, good. Glad you guys worked that out.
yeah. So, Matt and I talked about splitting the Harriman deal. I think I told you that yesterday.
Yes, that's right.
Ray, it's up to you. If you want to do facilities, you're certainly welcome to, or I'll do it, or we can rotate.
But maybe we can keep it flexible in case somebody can't make it, that way we have full board representation. I've no opposition to that.
All right, so, do you want to be the primary person and I'll be the backup, or do you want me to be the primary person?
I can be the primary.
I think he's Dan's technically the primary.
Yeah.
Right, well,
there's
this
two.
is, there's two of us,
For the second
for the
position.
second position,
Primary to Dan.
right. Secondary to Dan,
So Dan and someone else.
so it'll be Ray and I will be his backup. If that works for you, sir.
Works for me.
You guys,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, let's get that
Sounds good.
on the table. Thank you for working that out. Appreciate it. And then the Harriman meetings you're gonna cover?
Matt and I are gonna alternate, it probably depend on schedules.
Okay.
It's like I did the one yesterday. Next one's coming up in a couple weeks.
And I guess we're gonna hear about that here momentarily. Okay, great. Enrollment, how's kindergarten looking?
Not great.
55.
I mean, I would like it to be higher. We've like kind of plateaued here at 55 for a couple weeks now, which is concerning because I think our projections, you know, anywhere between 74 and 82, depending on the models that we were using, you know, trying to factor in birth rates and stuff, is what we were hoping kindergarten was going to be at. You know, when you look at birth rates for the town, I had pulled this up earlier. I don't know if I still have it here. Yeah, in the school year that would be next year, we have 63 births in the town of Litchfield. And traditionally, Litchfield has some sort of birth rate to kindergarten ratio of above 1, you know, somewhere even between 1.2 or as high as doubling the number of births that you have here. So the fact that we haven't even reached that 63 number is concerning. Like, where are the kids? They were born in town, or at least the mother lived in Litchfield at the time of the birth. That's how it's tracked. But where are the kids? Because they haven't all come and enrolled in kindergarten yet.
These are births that happened a few years ago that would be a
Right, so the
kindergarten.
equivalent back into, it is the September 2020 to August 2021 is the window that would be registering for.
Didn't we have a mad dash in August last year for people signing up for
I
kindergarten?
feel like we did.
There's always a few that happen kind of last minute, right? And let's not forget about spring real estate, people moving into.
Yeah, I was gonna
right?
say
That-
move
that-
in,
That
move
always
out.
happens, right? But where it stands right now, 55, and per our policies, that would be the equivalent of 3 classes.
Yep.
3 teachers.
It's tracking the state's current trend. I mean, enrollment's still going down.
My concern is if this number was to stick, at least from dating back to 1819, which is the first year you had full year kindergarten in the district, you've never had less kindergarten students than births. So that would be a new trend for Litchfield, right? To have more births than kids who arrive for kindergarten.
Did we end up getting our enrollment study back?
We did. Yep. Yeah. I mean, we can reshare it. We talked about it months ago at this point, but,
The one that we paid for with.
yeah. They projected 74. The one that I did in the fall, I had 82 as the number, you know, so, I'm not sure what else they factor in for that number, right? Their
Those would have been
birth-
COVID births, really, for the most part, right?
Right, so, you know, you look at it by months, you can start to see like there's more trailing birthdays coming in, right? So,
December birthdays.
yeah, so like maybe families are like holding a kid behind a little bit. I don't know, like maybe that's an explanation. I don't think it's this high, but like, I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
something that we need to keep a close pulse on.
Yeah. I mean, I think we ended up here this year. We're at 63, I think, right now. I mean, that's the next thing we're gonna click on. But, so I would think we'll get to the 4th classroom eventually and get that to like the 18, 19. Hopefully, if we get the run of you know, over the summer and stuff like that. But it is concerning that like the numbers aren't there from the births. Where are the kids? I mean, we've blasted this anywhere we can think of in terms of putting it on social media, on our website, in our newsletters, everywhere we can put it out. Again, I think I've said it at multiple board meetings. If you know of a family that has a kid that's entering kindergarten next year, even if they like, you can do it through online, but if you're struggling with doing it online because it's your first kid and it's a new process using the system, just call the elementary school. They'll do it for you. They'll walk you through it step by step and everything like
What
that.
about any of the daycares?
We can visit the daycares and see if, you know, we can pass out flyers or something that has the registration information to see if that helps. But, yeah, and then like births for next year, so the school year 27, 28, we're looking at 78 births that happened in Litchfield for that equivalent school year. So that's an even bigger number that we are then projecting, you know, possibly like 90 kids, but this is going to change our projection model if we're not seeing the kids actually arrive. So it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. All right, so let's talk about GMS.
So we met with Harriman and Harvey yesterday, our advisory committee. Peter Jonas called in on the call, so jump in at any point. Where we kind of mapping out our steps for the spring here. We're gonna have community forum on the 16th, right? I'm saying the right date. 14th. Tuesday the 14th is our community forum. I think I talked about that at the last board meeting. Maybe at the board meeting, or maybe I didn't actually say it at the board
I
meeting.
think we talked about having one in April. I don't think we
Yeah.
threw out a date at that.
But that was the date we chose, April the 14th. We started advertising for that, putting that out in our messaging online and everything. That first community forum in April there is not necessarily going to be new information. We want to remind everyone of the work we've done this far, review the option that we're kind of looking at, that 2-floor. Option 1B is what it was through the process, what we're looking at. Bunch of questions came up as we approached March voting. We went to the 55 plus communities, people asking status on the project, so we thought this was a good reset to get everyone thinking about it again. We'll follow up with another community forum with additional information about the project in May 18th, it's just a Monday, is the date we have tentatively scheduled for that. Harriman and Harvey are working on taking that option 1B and drilling down on it, getting the pricing and refining everything connected to it, so we can start talking about it. Our goal is to present the project when we hand over the final proposal for the project, when we hand over the proposed budget next October. When we were just looking at a calendar, we estimated that date as October 28th. Once I heard a rumor that we won't have to do it, the budget committee doesn't need it till November, but until I see that in writing, I will wait. So we'll assume October 28th. And we'll hand both the budget and the project over at the same time for everyone to review. Backtracking from there, our goal is to bring the project to the FIC at the beginning of September to allow them an opportunity to review the project and provide any feedback associated with it, so we can spend that time between early September and October addressing any of the concerns, questions, suggestions from that committee as we kind of do it. And then bring it to the board, bring it to the budget committee, and go from there. The summer will be spent, we're still going to meet monthly, at least monthly, with this advisory committee to talk about everything as the design is happening and the pricing is unfolding and stuff like that. So we'll have some good questions last night from people who are part of the committee. Gave Harriman a little bit of work to do. For example, the plan for, just one example, but the plan for the portables, like how we're going to do that and the moving around kids and continuing education as we kind of go through everything. And then we're off and running, doing the work with it. So.
2 questions. The first is, has anyone connected with that company that did the PR stuff for?
Yes. Me and Dan are meeting with them on the 9th, sometime next week. I think it's the 9th.
Perfect.
Yep.
The second question is there anything that we should be, anytime we have an opportunity with community engagement, I view it as an opportunity to collect information as well as provide information. Is there any information that we are looking to collect or that we should be looking to collect at this?
I don't think anything right at this moment. What do you think?
I don't think so.
I mean, I think right this moment we need to remind everyone of where we're at.
It's really just sort of level setting, getting everybody back on the
I
thing.
understand. It's just an opportunity. We don't have, it's not terribly easy to collect information. So.
I do think we kind of pushed Harriman to try to give us numbers as we went along, so we're just not getting a number in September.
Mm-hmm.
And having to say, well, that number is too high.
Yeah.
We need to make changes.
Yeah.
So it's-
So, I mean, I remember some of the stuff, we discussed, right? We just don't have enough information out to go ask people, like, what do you think right now? Some of the stuff, like, I guess with the community outreach and everything, if we can get those flyers that were created for the next community forum out to the 55 plus communities that we've already spoken with. And I know when I was at the budget committee last week, right, Mr. Chairman's son brought up, is there a way to make sure that we record at a minimum the community forums, if not live stream, which is a much heavier lift. But just from the aspect of, he got a lot of feedback of people liked it when it was at least recorded and put out there.
Can we, and does it make sense to start tracking and presenting some of the good money that's been thrown after bad? Like, we did, for example, we had to redo the ramps for the portables, right? We've had to do a lot of stuff. Like, if it might make sense to start quantifying, like, because I don't know that people really understand how much money gets burned in as little return on value.
It's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, just the portables alone, we redid the ramps, we redid the HVAC for
We did
one of
that
them.
a couple of years ago.
Yep.
It was last year, wasn't it?
It was, well, we did that for when we put to warrant the new school. We quantified the
Oh,
expenses.
Ramps, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just keeping it as a running tally is probably.
But even just the roof repair on the portables when we had to replace the heating.
Yep.
Well, the ramps were like $60,000, weren't they?
I don't remember.
I think they were
but we
30 or
were,
something.
did them last year at some
I
point.
think it was 30 grand or 32 grand, something like that.
No doubt.
Wasn't cheap.
Okay, and for board awareness, I did circulate the link that you shared for the community forum to the communities that we met with.
Oh, perfect, awesome.
Right,
Great.
so all those individuals that we met with and their main people, I did circulate, and
Good.
so they have that information.
Yeah,
I
related
think
to
the
that.
one I went to with Brian, the people were very appreciative and very open to, and had good questions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, might recircle this. About a month ago, we sent out, trying to get people on our mailing list because we were able to figure that out, and we had good response to that. We added a number of people who don't have a direct connection to the schools
Yep.
to that mailing list, and we'll revisit that because I think that helps. You know,
I think
'cause
it's
we-
very helpful.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about a few years ago trying to get the town's mailing list,
Yeah,
and we weren't allowed to get that. Do you remember? I don't know.
right. This allows people to opt in. They
Yeah.
just send us their email, and we add it to the list, and then they don't get, for people who are watching who might be interested, you don't get every single school communication. That would be too much. Right now, you're getting my newsletter, which has links to each of the schools' newsletters and other information, and it's, I mean, Ray, you're getting it now because you're on the board and stuff, like, so hopefully people find that helpful and, you know, can access the information as they want and stuff, so.
One other aspect of this that might make sense to try to incorporate into the project process is talking more about community use of the facilities. Like that senior event that was
Well,
like really,
yeah.
it sounded like it was, that feedback was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
There's something with, not to interrupt, but there's something with that population of the community and this project that we gotta bring together, right?
I think
Whether-
that might be the
Yeah,
key
whether
to it.
that's like the repurposing of the portables, right? Like, we have invested work in those portables, right? Like, do we repurpose, I don't know the location, you know, it's something we work with the town about and those type of things. But like, is there something there? We have, if you look at so that's, you know, something to discuss, like from that avenue. If you look at the plans for the building, these like collaborative spaces, which are like the extra class for the year that you need 5 third grades, right? You know, in that type of space or whatever. Do you make those accessible for the community after hours, right? When you're not in the middle of the school day? Like, obviously, you're not gonna run a senior center event at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, but once the building's empty, the building's kinda
So
empty, right?
maybe
Like, so do you incorporate the use, for that senior community after school hours and stuff?
What if we tried to have like a specific, maybe, I don't know if it needs to be a forum, but something where we can maybe have like an open dialogue with
Yeah.
those communities to say, hey, look, we had this one event, it went really well. We want to figure out how to utilize our facilities for the benefit of our senior community. And like, what if we make that part of our process?
I think it'd be smart. I really do. Like, I've had a couple conversations with people, like just spitballing ideas about like, we kind of stumbled into something. The student council did such an excellent job with that event that we really stumbled into something there that I think is a need for the town and the community, and something that can link, you know, the school community with a community that doesn't necessarily have their own kids anymore in the schools, and see what the value is of the place. There is something there. We
Yeah,
got
I
to
think
kind
we
of
just
work through
we
it.
need a definitive, like,
Yeah.
goal for this, and I think that it might make sense to have something that's focused on a dialogue with them about that specifically.
So is there a way that we could take some of, call it the common spaces, cafeteria, the gym, and make that available to be scheduled with and through the town as well?
Well, I think organizing, I mean, it can be done right now, but what is the mechanism to make sure that it is done well and properly and serving a particular type of community? Security is a piece of it too. Like, there's definitely ways to do it. You just gotta make sure as you're designing, you put the right security things in place. Like, my previous school, we would do this. The academic wings would get locked down at the end of the academic day where you could no longer access it. And then the main swing with the gym and the auditorium was open to the community, right? Like after school hours. So like you secured those locations and then opened those others for the public. And there's a plan for that. I think there's something here that we can figure that pieces out, and that's gotta be part of the conversation that we kinda go moving
The high
forward.
school I went to had gates that they were on wheels, but there was anchors in the floor, and when when there's something like that going on, they'd wheel those down there and they'd open them up and,
Yep.
lock them
My
down
high
to the
school too.
floor and,
The
you know,
sooner that we
that wing is closed.
Yeah. Sooner we can start the dialogue, though. I mean, it takes a while to get the engagement going. And, if we could start that dialogue soon, it would be great, because then by the time that we're actually promoting the project, people will be way more familiar and engaged.
So a question, because I'm not as familiar, is there like a senior, I mean, we have the 55 plus communities themselves, and we had some success reaching out to them. But is there like a network of just seniors in general in the community that like, I don't even know what I'm asking, but like
Well, I
a
think
group, like we could
Start
go
with the
talk to?
55 pluses, right?
Yeah.
Because
And the vets.
they
Yeah,
probably
the
cross
vets-
the
the
vets,
vets
right?
is
And then
great,
they
yeah.
cross over at pickleball.
Yeah.
Like at the old white church, they have a mug and muffin once a month on Wednesdays. It's an outreach from CMC, for Nurse Association. And they get from 14 to 22 women down there for coffee, a snack, and, go over a health thing, or, they've done, like cybersecurity and, and fraud, fraud things, all to help the older people navigate the new world.
The only other thought, right, is, we need a plan for those portables. They need to go somewhere. They're an asset of the district, and that is where 1B is going, right? So they need to be moved regardless, and we have invested significant money into them and upkeep to them. So as a part of the plan, we need to be communicating to the town what the plan is with those portables.
Yeah.
So it has to be part of the strategy.
And I think Dave kind of asked that question yesterday,
You did?
Dave
Yeah.
Ross, as to what's gonna happen, because those are, and I didn't know this, that there's electrical and sewage in those
Totally.
today.
Yeah.
Right, so they were gonna try to work around the portables until they didn't have an option. As far as making.
This is what I would have thought they would do is leave everything in situ until you
Yeah.
absolutely have to touch it.
Right.
And then can you, I was thinking about this last night, picking those up and moving them, given what we've seen.
I think they're on
What's-
wheels.
Yeah, but the roof has come, we've had issues structurally with them.
Yeah,
If you go to, I would be afraid to, not afraid to move them,
I don't know how to
but
do it.
concerned about moving them.
That
Are
was
they-
something that
are-
Harvey spoke to yesterday too, that they've done that a lot, right? Whether
Yeah.
or not they have to, refurbish anything and then moving them, that's part of the lots of projects that they've done, so.
I mean, if they're on wheels, that's better, but where do you put them?
Yeah.
And where do you get the power to them, and
All,
what do you do with
all
the
that needs to
restrooms?
be, there needs to be a plan. So
Yeah.
I think that's, why don't we do this? Why don't we have a conversation with the town and the town administrator Kleiner as well as, Chair Brunel? And let's open that conversation and see if there's interest.
I wonder if there's like a need over by the dump for anything.
There, I mean.
Police station.
The police station
They-
needs
they
more
need, if
space,
nothing
the
else,
town hall
storage.
needs more space.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, there's,
But if they are not in great condition, we don't know what the real condition is, because those kind of buildings are not designed for extended long-term use.
they are not.
Because
Never mind
moisture,
being- never mind
moisture
being
from the kids
moved.
breathing, stuff like that, they tend to die structurally from not being a real building.
Agree on all that.
Yeah.
But
And,
again, there's still an
just-
asset that we own.
I understand that, but we don't wanna to move an asset to some other part of the town's budget that costs the taxpayers a lot of money.
And if
You
the,
know,
if the
it's-
decision is, it's just time to dispose, fantastic, then it's time to dispose.
Well, I think we'll need them through the construction process.
Easily, yeah.
Okay, anything else on GMS?
Nope, we're just doing the work.
Manifest, we have a few items on the manifest this evening, accounts payable of $334,285.84. We have another accounts payable of $264,263.92. We have a payroll manifest of $429,835.61. We have the 403B of $243,481.13, and the vendor's manifest of $2,256.26. We have our second community input this evening. Seeing since there's no community here, I will close the second community input, and I'll turn it over to the school board for comments.
So I thought it was gonna be covered under old business, but I guess I didn't read the agenda quick enough. The discussion we had at the last FIC meeting about the scheduling and the nomination
Yeah, sorry, I
of
totally forgot
new
to add
community
that.
members.
Yeah.
So we discussed at the last FIC meeting that we would like to alter the governance documents to push back the requirement that community members have to apply by a certain date. It's currently by, the school board is to nominate at the first meeting in April, so they have to apply by the week before that, and we would like to push that back just so it offsets the committee assignments and everything that we go through every year. And we would like to push that back to, they have to, what did we say? We said they had to apply by the Monday before the second board meeting in April. And then the nominations would take place at the school board meetings in May.
Yeah. So we'd ask for interested parties by April 13th. and then
This
we'd
year,
have-
right.
Yeah, and then we'd have people for the 15th.
Didn't we create kind of a schedule for people who are on the committee?
Yes,
This
we
person
did.
is 2 years, this person
Yep,
is 1
yep,
year.
so
So
we
they
have
shouldn't
about-
have, those people wouldn't have to reapply.
We'd said they'd have to reapply if they wanted to have interest,
Yes.
right? You could just renominate them and keep the people the
So-
same.
Oh, okay, but
But
you
we
still,
went-
you have to apply.
Yeah,
So-
because when we went through the three, I think there's three
Yep,
seats
there's
up,
3 positions.
we speculated that at least 2 of them didn't want to continue.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one is currently left vacant because Mr. Peoples is now on the school board. There is 2 others. One has reached back out and said that they are not interested. The other one I haven't heard from, so I'm gonna assume not interested. So, that would be the consideration to alter the governance documents to do that. We can present a draft at the next board meeting. And then, in this case, I would also like to start getting messaging out that we are seeking 3 community members to the FIC to make those nominations and go forward.
Okay,
I have no objection to that.
no objection to that.
Is it a will of the board thing, or do we have to vote?
I think we did vote on the governance documents.
You'll have to update, you'll have to vote on the updated governance,
Okay.
but the will of the board is to allow us to proceed right now.
Yeah, I
with
think the
this.
will of the board's
That's
fine.
fine.
Okay, sounds great.
Appreciate you bringing that back up.
Not a
Yeah,
problem, thank you.
Dan. That was my mistake.
No,
left that out.
I read this very quickly when I saw it, so I missed it too.
I missed it as well, so I looked at the agenda too, so.
I
All
can't
right.
see the agenda because my computer won't work.
Anything else on school board comments tonight? All right, the board does have some business tonight in non-public under RSA 91A3, specifically A and C. So with that, I will entertain a motion to move into non-public.
So moved.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Shoemaker, second by Mr. Plansky. Roll call vote. Mr. Peoples?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Aye.
I am an aye. Mr. Plansky?
Aye.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
That carries.